Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of Coffee and Cabinets. I'm your host, kitchen and bath designer, Jordan Thomes. This week I am drinking a nice little apple pie flavored coffee with some oat milk vanilla creamer. On this week's episode, we are going to take a look at some of the finer details that go into your kitchen design that more often than not get overlooked until the end of the process. We're going to take a look at these finer details just to show what a big difference they can make in your final product. First, we are going to talk a little bit about the wood species of your cabinets and how the chosen species will affect the overall aesthetic of your kitchen. As you can see here, I have laid out a few different samples of cabinet doors just to go over the difference of your wood species and how it will affect your cabinets. All of these are done in the sandalwood stain, so as you can see, it's a very subtle orange color, very natural looking, not too artificial. It doesn't have too much brightness, not extremely saturated, but this sample here is done in a maple. However, you can see immediately next to it, when this same stain is applied to an alder cabinet door, you can see that the color changes and slightly darkens. It does get even darker so on a sample of cherry wood, and then you can see that the texture comes through a little bit more on an oak door. I just wanted to show these examples to show how, while you may immediately think of the finish that you were looking for your cabinets, you also want to consider the species. Each piece is done on a different species of wood here, all in the exact same stain, yet each one has its own unique individual look. These two here are both oak, but the difference here is this is a straight sawn oak, where this is a quarter sawn. On the quarter sawn, you get two different types of textures, which you may either love or you may want to go with something that's a little more consistent, like the straight sawn oak. These two maple samples here are a little bit different in that this is just your sandalwood stain applied individually on its own and sealed, whereas this piece of sandalwood maple had a glaze applied with a highlight plastered all over the sample to darken it even further. These two samples here, this is your alder door, where you can see that you get a little bit more wood grain, it's a little bit more detailed, and on the cherry, it has an overall darker and more red appearance. Next, we are going to quickly talk a little bit about door style and how that will affect the overall aesthetic of your kitchen. First, I'm going to show you the most simple cabinet door we can go with. This is called a slab door. It is completely flat. There is no detail, no bevel, no anything. So this is a very contemporary choice. You can, of course, make it a little more traditional like this one here by giving it a stain. Typically, a slab door does either have a solid gray paint or a solid white paint. Next, this is a more decorative door. This has a lot of different detail in it, so we have a little bit of a bevel on the inside of the stiles. We do have the decorative, almost beadboard looking center panel. This is very detailed, and as you can see, this door also has a glaze, so it really highlights all of those small pieces of molding. This is a very decorative option and will bring a lot of character to your kitchen. However, you just have to make sure that you really like the detail, otherwise it might be a little bit too busy for you. Last, I did want to show you the most popular door right now in kitchen design, and this is just a simple shaker. This particular sample is in a very dark brown chocolate stain. Right now we are seeing mostly white and gray paint and shaker. However, you can bring this modern door again back into that traditional look by just adding a stain and bringing in the character of wood. Next, we are going to talk a little bit about the finish of your surface. Typically, when you think about picking your countertop, you don't necessarily think about the finish. You just think about the aesthetic look of it. Most of our surfaces here are available in either a polished or either a honed or suede finish. We do also have some surfaces available in a leathered finish. I'm just going to quickly show you the difference between a polished and a suede finish to show you the difference between something that has a lot of sheen to it versus something that's more on the matte side. The sample on the left is a polished quartz sample. You can see, especially towards the top, it does have more of a reflection. You can see a little bit of detail and it has more of a glossy look. The sample on the right is what quartz manufacturers call a suede finish. While it is not completely matte, it does have much less glare to it and much less gloss, being that you won't see reflections in this piece. If you have some under cabinet lighting, there won't be very high reflection in a suede finish. Last but not least, we are going to take a quick look at your cabinet hardware options. As you can see, there are a wide array of colors and finishes available, each one giving off a different aesthetic. These darker options up here will really contrast well with a light colored cabinet, whether it be painted or stained. And then some of the more decorative options down here, whether it be in a rose gold, a brushed brass, or even a chrome, those will play really well on both a light and a dark cabinet. Each one gives its own aesthetic value. It just depends on what you're looking for out of your kitchen. This top corner shows an example of a brushed finished hardware. Whether it be in a bronze, English bronze, oil rub bronze, you still get a more matte look with a little bit of texture in the brush strokes. Moving down on this particular board, you'll see that we have multiple other finishes available in a brushed. Then immediately below, they'll compare to a chrome, which is highly reflective in what you think of when you think of a lot of bathroom fixtures. This here is a polished finish, so this you get the textured look of a brushed hardware with the brush strokes and the different looks in the metal. However, these are more reflective, so they're closer to a chrome. And finally, something very popular on the market right now is a matte finished hardware. These particular pieces are in a matte black, which is extremely common right now in the design industry, but these give a matte look, which reduces glare and reduces the look of fingerprints or dirt and grime that may accumulate in your kitchen. So we are going to end this week's episode with a quick little walkthrough of how we compile all of the chosen materials and finishes and put them together to make a decorative material concept board. Follow me and we'll walk you through it. So we are going to start with the chosen door. This particular door is actually a rustic alder door, so you can see this one has a little bit more character than those small samples we looked at before. We are going to pair it with the suede version of the Pearl Jasmine Quartz. You can see that this quartz has some brown to it, but there's also a lot of gray, a little bit of beige, and some white in here. So it is very universal and it pairs really well with whatever other finishes you choose to put it with. We did go with a simple handmade ceramic tile. This handmade tile has a little bit more texture than a standard Subway would, just because it is handmade. Each piece is unique. So we're going to pair that with the countertop and the door. We did pick out some English bronze hardware that will play very well on the gray and brown tones found in both the cabinet door and the Pearl Jasmine Quartz. And then with all of our materials and finishes boards, we like to just add a little bit of decorative touch to it with some other materials and textures that we do have available in the showroom, just to give it a little bit more dimension and make it look a little bit more homey. Before I let you go, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that at Ivo we still have a couple of ongoing promotions. We are still offering our free granite with purchase of Ivo cabinetry promotion. Again, it is limited to a few different kinds of granite, so please stop into the showroom for more details. We do also currently have a 5-day guaranteed installation turnaround on your new granite countertops. There are exclusions that do apply, so again, please stop in, see myself or another design representative for more details. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Coffee and Cabinets. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday morning. Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of Coffee. I forgot to say